Hi friends, welcome to a three-part series on how to raise financially responsible children. Part number 1 will be about the influences that shape our children's perception of money. Part number 2 will be about how do we define financial responsibility. And number 3 will be about how do you train a child to be financially responsible. So let's jump right in. So in the last 10 years that I've been actively teaching my children how to manage money and training them on having good financial habits, I've noticed that there were 4 major factors that have influenced their perception of money. The first one is their nature, their own personality. The second one is other people. The third one is the media. And the fourth one is their own personal experiences with money. If you've watched any of the other videos on this channel, you know that I have 3 children, and the older 2 are the ones that have been training on money management for 9 and 10 years. And I have noticed that their nature, their personality does play a part on how they view money and how they manage money. I have one kid who is talking about saving up for a car and a house and retirement. And then I've got another kid who wants to talk about how do I get a hold of a Nintendo 3DS. So they have different perspectives, you know. One kid wants to look at long term, and then the other kid just wants immediate gratification. So there's nothing wrong with either one. The only thing that I have had to do as a parent is that I have had to pay attention to what their inclinations are and then tailor their financial education to where their weaknesses and where their strengths are. So, you know, one kid just wants to hold on to the money, so we got to encourage that kid to go out and spend a little bit. And then the other kid just wants to hoard money for a while until he just blow it on something big. And so we've had to train that child to have a little bit of more of a long-term vision for what that child wants to do and accomplish in the long term. Or not even their personalities and just who they are in general definitely play a part on how they perceive and how they want to manage money. The second influence that I have noticed makes a big difference in a child's perception of money is other people. And I'm talking about parents and peers, their heroes, other people's parents, their grandparents. Everyone they come in contact with will have a little bit of an input in how they perceive money. For example, my children at home do talk with us about our family finances. We're very open with them, and we do talk about how bills get paid. Work and the effort that you put into work results in getting paid, and from there then you take care of your necessities. And so we are hoping to be their biggest influencers, but we understand that we are not their only influence when it comes to money. I'll give you an example of a peer influence. One of my child's friends has a phone, and of course my child wants a phone. My child doesn't need a phone, but because, you know, their friend has a phone, they are prone to be influenced by that. Their heroes, you know, if their heroes are baseball players and basketball players and they're making a lot of money and they're watching their idols make tons and tons of money, they'll be inspired, hopefully, to also put forth the effort to go out and be wealthy as well. However, the way that their heroes spend and manage money, that is also an influence over our children. How about heroes within their community? How about their coaches? How about their teachers? How about their teachers at church? All of these people, believe it or not, do have an influence on how your children will view money. So in one of the later videos, I'm going to talk about how to manage all of this information so that you are customizing your financial education for your kids in a way that it will be beneficial to them in spite of all the influences around them. We cannot control the influences outside of them. However, we can manage their thoughts and how they perceive that information. And we're going to talk about that in a later video. The third influence that I have noticed makes a big difference in my kids' perception is the media. Everybody has an opinion about money, from the financial gurus to the pop stars to the movie stars, the news. Everyone has an opinion. So your children are going to hear these opinions. And believe me when I tell you, I'm sure you already know, your children are listening. Your children are listening and they're paying attention. And they pay attention to detail. So movies, videos, radio, everything that they're exposed to, apps, all of that will definitely influence how they manage money and how they perceive money. So I'm not saying cut out all media. I'm saying be aware that the media will have an influence on how your children will view money. So one day I was taking a poll around my house and I asked both of my children, well, what do you think of wealthy people? And one of my kids said, well, I think wealthy people just manage their money better. And number one, I was pleasantly surprised to hear that. And number two, I wanted to know more. Like, how did she come up with that? And she says, well, I think they just manage their money better so that they have more of it. And then she asked me a very interesting question. She says, how come all the movies make the rich people to be the bad guys? And she stumped me a little bit for a while there. I just had to say, you know what? I'm not really sure. Not all wealthy people are the bad guy, but we know that from real life. These are just movies, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. But I just want you to see how the movie that my daughter was referring to was actually a children's movie. She was referring to a couple of different ones, but I want you to see how it does have an effect on them, even if they're not telling you, even if you're not having an open conversation and they're not expressing any kind of opinion themselves about what they see or what they hear. Whatever is out there is a seed planted in your child's heart. And like every seed, if it's watered, it will grow and it will produce fruit. So you just want to be careful of the kinds of seeds that are being planted in your child's heart when it comes to money matters and finances and the perception of money as a whole. And the fourth and last thing that I have seen be an influencer over my children's perception of money is their own experiences. So my children have been very blessed that they have had some great experiences with money, but at the same time, they've had many experiences where they've actually lost money, or they started a little business and they didn't make money at all. And that has made a big difference in how they approach their money management as well. Now, the other things that I can think of that can influence a child's perception of money are things like this: whether they have to work for money or they're given money, whether they earn it or whether they're never given any money and mom and dad just provide everything, needs and wants. The other thing is that if a child has been bullied and has had his money stolen, that is a personal experience that can shape that child's perception of money. So our children are going to interact with the world. We're not always going to be around to protect them. So all of that also plays a big part in how they view money, how they perceive the idea of money, and eventually how they manage their money. So I share all of this with you with a deep respect and love because our children are paying attention. And I just want you to be aware that all of these influences are very real, and our children are confronted with this every single day. So as you get on your journey to start training your children to be financially responsible, just be aware that all of these influences are out there and they're planting seeds in your child's heart, and it definitely affects their perception of money and wealth and money management. Thank you so much for being with me today. Please be on the lookout for part number 2 and part number 3 of this series. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you join us over on YouTube so that you can subscribe, get a hold of all the rest of the videos that will be done. If you're already on YouTube, do make sure that you click the notifications bell so that you get notified every time new videos are up and running. Thank you so much again. We'll see you in the next video.